One of the most difficult things to do when running an NBA team is to get your picks right in the NBA draft. It can either make or break you. Teams that hit on a lot of their picks, like the Warriors, tend to go on to become contenders and even win titles. Teams that consistently miss on their draft picks, like the Timberwolves, end up in a never ending state of mediocrity. If the Knicks want to become relevant again, they have to hit on their upcoming 2020 lottery pick. They have some nice young pieces between Mitchell Robinson and RJ Barrett, but they need another young stud for this team to really take off. When it comes to who to pick in the draft, there's going to be some that think it's best for the Knicks to go for the best player available, while some think it's best to go for the best fit available. Both sides have very valid arguments. The Sixers are a perfect example of a team that became relevant because they totally disregarded fit and just simply went after the best player who was available each time. It's why they drafted Joel Embiid just a year after drafting Nerlens Noel, and why they went on to draft Jahlil Okafor a year later. It worked out for the Sixers because rolling the dice on 3 straight centers led to one of them eventually becoming an all-star, and they've been one of the better teams in the East ever since. But we've also seen where just going for best player available has backfired. In 2019, the Cavs drafted Darius Garland just a year after drafting Colin Sexton. Now, a year later, it's clear that not only do Sexton and Garland's playstyles not mesh, but the team is going to have to choose between the two of them at some point. Now, if the Cavs could do a redraft, I'm sure they would have taken a player who would have fit alongside Colin Sexton a lot better, as Sexton has quietly become one of the better scorers in the league. The Knicks are in a situation where they can either draft for need or they can draft for best player available. Personally, I think the Knicks should gear more towards team need to help develop their young core. In this video, we're going to look at some talented players who aren't an ideal fit on this team, and I'll explain why the Knicks ultimately shouldn't draft them. Before we get started, if you like videos like this, I got plenty more of them on the channel. Please subscribe. I'm trying to hit 1,000 subscribers before July, and your support is really appreciated. If you look at this team, while the Knicks have a lot of holes on the roster, there's 2 positions where the Knicks don't really need help at, and that's at center and that's at 2 guard. RJ Barrett and Mitchell Robinson is a nice young duo going forward. One of the top prospects in this upcoming draft is James Wiseman. He's 7'1" with a long 7'6" wingspan, and he's 250 pounds, so as you can see, he brings incredible physical tools for the center position. He's really good at operating out the pick and roll, he's a good shot blocker, and he's got a nice mid-range jump shot. Now, while Wiseman is a great prospect, he's still pretty raw at this stage of his career. He doesn't have many scoring moves, and outside of shot blocking, he's a question mark on defense. He's viewed as someone who probably won't be great his first year in the league, but can definitely develop into that all-star. ESPN ranks him as their number 3 prospect on their big board, so as we can see, he's clearly one of the top prospects in this upcoming draft. So the question for the Knicks is, do you still draft Wiseman when you already have a potential all-star at the center position in Mitchell Robinson? If you draft Wiseman, you're going to undermine the development of one of these 2 centers, in my opinion. Wiseman and Mitch cannot play together. Yes, you could try to move Wiseman to the 4, but in today's league, the 4 has to be able to shoot, and Wiseman is not a 3-point shooter. That means either Wiseman or Mitch will end up getting relegated to the bench while the other starts. You can't develop into an all-star if you're stuck only playing 20 minutes off the bench. Now, some might say that Wiseman has a higher upside than Mitch. Well, that might be possible, but that's pretty far from a guarantee. Wiseman is still pretty raw from a skills perspective, and I don't even think he's better than Robinson at this point. It would be one thing if Wiseman was a can't-miss Joel Embiid level prospect. If that was the case, then by all means, go ahead and draft him, but he's not. For that reason, I personally wouldn't draft James Wiseman. There's nothing against him. I think he's a great talent. I just don't think that Wiseman and Mitch can realistically develop together. Their games just simply don't complement each other at all. The next player I want to talk about is Anthony Edwards, who many consider to be the number 1 prospect in this draft. Edwards is a 6'5" shooting guard out of Georgia. He's extremely athletic, he's a really good shot creator, but he only shot 30% from 3 this season. While Edwards is without question a great talent, I really question whether it would make sense to pair both RJ Barrett and Edwards together. Edwards and RJ are both two slashing shooting guards that have weak outside jumpers. Now RJ can easily slide over to the 3, but I don't really think that their playstyles mesh. In order for RJ to thrive, he really should be surrounded by shooters, not players that have the exact same playstyle as him. Similar to what we said about Wiseman and Mitchell Robinson, I don't think RJ and Edwards' game really mesh together. I think pairing the two would harm both of their development. And I don't think Edwards is such a can't-miss prospect that you should totally disregard fit and select him. It's not like he's the next Michael Jordan. Edwards is a great prospect, but he's another player that I would pass on. The last guy I want to talk about is Onyeka Okongwu. Okongwu is an athletic 6'9" center out of USC. He's arguably the best center in this draft. Okongwu is really good on both ends of the floor. On defense, he's the rare type of center that's not only able to protect the rim, but switch onto guards and forwards. On offense, he's good in the pick and roll, and he can post up, but he needs to work on his passing. Now, Wiseman has better physical tools, but Okongwu is undeniably the most skilled center in this draft. While Okongwu is talented, the reason I wouldn't take him is the same reason I wouldn't take Wiseman. His game definitely would not mesh alongside Mitchell Robinson. You could try to move Okongwu to the 4, but because he's not a three-point shooter, it's not going to work. Drafting him means either one of Mitch or Okongwu will not be able to maximize their potential because they can't develop together. So ultimately, despite the fact that these 3 prospects are talented, I really wouldn't draft them. The fact of the matter is, when you're a rebuilding team like the Knicks, the main priority should be developing a young core, not just fishing for the best overall talent. Yes, drafting a really talented player can improve your team, but drafting guys that fit together and can make a young core also can help the team grow. The Knicks already got 2 young guys that can be part of a young core between RJ Barrett and Mitchell Robinson. They should really be looking to draft someone that fits their playstyle. In a few years, if the Knicks would actually develop these young guys and not trade them for the next all-star that becomes available in trade, they can develop a team that will be able to contend for years. The team's biggest need right now is point guard. If I was the Knicks, I would be looking for a selfish pass-first point guard in this draft to play alongside my 2 main guys. A guy like LaMelo Ball, who's a 6'8" point guard with court vision, would be a really nice fit. Killian Hayes is another really tall point guard who passes the ball really well. He also would be a really nice fit. Tyrese Halliburton is another point guard who may not be as talented as the other guys, but he can play defense and pass the ball really well, which would also make him a really nice fit. Just imagine if the Knicks could pair one of these point guards with Mitchell Robinson next year, especially LaMelo Ball. With Ball's ability to get into the lane and pass, Robinson's game will definitely benefit. So in my opinion, I think the Knicks should value team need over the best player available in this draft. Although Wiseman, Okongwu, and Edwards are talented, they don't really fit with our main young guys. The Knicks should be looking to land a really good point guard with their lottery pick. With that said, do you agree with the video or do you disagree with the video? Should the Knicks address their biggest team need at point guard, or should they just select the highest rated player on the board, even if they play the same position as RJ Barrett and Mitchell Robinson? Let me know in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and have a good day.